David, welcome to the webinar. It's great to have you with us. We've heard already about the ways in which sensors and telemetry can create a digital footprint from scheduling through to payment. Perhaps you could share some thoughts with us on how digitization is changing the face of the industry as a whole, from asset control to sales enablement and plant fill operations.
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity today, Rob. It's a pleasure to be on this panel. Josh and Dave, great to be able to present alongside you. It's a great question, Rob. I think what we've seen happen, and is this past year that I think accelerated this whole transformation. And really what we looked at is we said, this is really creating the need for a digital infrastructure for distributors. So really this migration to a digital world, the pandemic accelerated that rapidly. So what would have taken probably several years has been compressed down to several months. And so we see that left and right. And probably one really great example is just when we talk about business processes and mobilizing and digitalizing every single business process you have from filling to billing. Okay, so we see just tremendous use in this thing called a smartphone that's connected and integrated, and now it's being applied to various business operations inside the fill plant, for example, where these technologies are used to forecast, schedule, and fill cylinders with a smartphone and an interactive display that's mounted right in the center of the fill plant. So you have this high visibility into the business process, and you are taking the pulse of that business process. You are capturing the digital footprint of that business process, whether it's one step or 100, and it's done electronically. So there is no more paper. So I think with the move to digitalization, it really forced businesses to say, we have to go digital because in many cases, employees were working at home. And so how do you keep people connected and productive? You have to migrate to this new type of a digital infrastructure, so to speak. Another area is if you go outside the fill plant is to the delivery itself, where you can now create a digital footprint with these devices and measure and monitor the entire delivery and the cylinder movement from fill to loading on the truck to making that delivery to the customer or the branch to processing the electronic payment right at the point of delivery. And that all requires, a digital infrastructure, a connected infrastructure. And again, here goes this need to eliminate the paper, but you want to streamline that business process and be able to measure and monitor it. Okay, so the digital footprint is a term that we throw out there a lot that just becomes synonymous with the business process. So activity-based costing. I know Dave had mentioned just a second ago about the high cost of delivery. And so it's critical that you're able to now apply these technologies to look at activity-based costing, service time versus delivery time, distance to the customer. Did you make a delivery? Did you not? And so we've developed systems to measure and monitor all these things at a very granular level, or fill plant productivity, plant production versus the actual usage rate of those cylinders, at a customer sites. And then last, incorporating IoT data, to forecast accurate bulk tank replenishments at the customer site. Okay, so what we like to do is be able to say, let's partner with these leaders and let's integrate their data sources, their IoT data, for example, and give it tremendous value. It's very valuable to begin with. But what we like to do is how do we even make it more valuable to the distributor, and how do we apply it to a business process? And one area is what we did with our bulk gas manager, for example, where we are bringing in IoT data, into that application to help the downstream process of accurate replenishment. So I think it's it's the digital delivery infrastructure, like we like to say. You apply the smartphone technologies to digitalize the business process and measure and monitor it. So I think now these devices have come down in cost tremendously. I mean, we talk about the high cost of a sensor 30 years ago. Well, think about the high cost of a mobile device 10 years ago, what we call ruggedized devices. They were several $1,000s. Today, they're basically free and they're connected. So it's an exciting time to be a software developer and a software integrator and play a real vital role in being able to connect the dots here for a true digital infrastructure.